You remember it vividly. Your father and the rest of the family draining the life from each and every villager with a mere wave of their hands, their horrible fangs bared in hunger. The survivors barricade themselves inside the church, whispering desperate prayers in a final act of defiance. And their last it was.
Get back! The gods are with us!
Your father strode into the church with a smile, his voice rich with glee. Then he said,
"You're correct. We are."
"This is your fate, written in blood and shadow. Whether you chose it or not, your deathly pale visage and cursed blood have marked you as a member of a Vesper Dragon's blood horde. Do you run from it, struggling against the hunger clawing at your soul? Or do you embrace it, reveling in the power that is your birthright?"
2, 3. Hello, and hello. I'm the S.O.C.K, aka the Wolf of Sesame Street, and I'm back again for another episode of Dude Brew. This time I'm going to be showcasing a sorcerer subclass I made called the Vesper Sorcerer, which ties you to a Vesper Dragon. I kind of teased this at the end of the last Dude Brew episode, but I also did a Dude Brew episode on the Vesper Dragon as well, if you haven't seen that. So the link is going to be in the description for that if you want to know what a Vesper Dragon is. And I'd recommend it just to have some context for the subclass's lore, but it's not super necessary since I'll be going over it a little bit myself in this video. But I also want to make a quick note that I made some balancing changes to the Vesper Dragon, the stat block I mean, and I wanted to give it a little quick disclaimer and stuff, just because this is obviously homebrew content, all the stuff on Dude Brew, and I consider myself to have a decent understanding of game design, but at the end of the day, I'm not a game designer and it hasn't been play tested yet, so I'll definitely be making changes on stuff that I make over time. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up for if you're looking through something and I've made it and it's different from how I describe it in the video, but that just means that I made some changes to it and found something that needed to be tweaked. But as always, there's going to be timestamps in the video, and let's get started with what a Vesper Sorcerer is. So, like I said before, as a Vesper Sorcerer, your innate power comes from the blood of a Vesper Dragon, and a Vesper Dragon is a bat-like dragon that collects families of magic users to feast on their arcane-infused blood in exchange for protection, power, immortality, and having a literal vampiric dragon at your beck and call, and this is called a blood horde. So, traditionally a Vesper Sorcerer is always found in the Vesper Dragon's blood horde, but how this happens can be whatever you want. It can be something specific to your campaign setting and stuff. And maybe you got the Vesper Dragon's blood within you for another reason. Sometimes things get wild on Friday night. I don't judge, but we'll get into that at the end of the video when we discuss how you can use this subclass to form your backstory in your game. But without further ado, let's get into the actual mechanical effects of this subclass. So getting into the first mechanical effect for this subclass, I guess not technically mechanical, but it is something that relates to your character, is going to be Vesper Bloodline characteristics. So your status as a member of the Vesper Dragon's Blood Horde has given you a unique trait that you may pick or roll for in the following table. So it's a d6 roll, and this is inspired by the Shadow Sorcerer subclass. So yeah, I'll just kind of skim through the different ones. I won't spend too much time talking about each feature and stuff, just so I don't make this video an hour long. But on a 1 on the d6, shadows seem to reach out towards you. On a 2, your pupils resemble a dragon's when you're hungry or angry, thin slits that glow faintly. 3 is the air around you is always a few degrees colder, no matter the environment, like a walking corpse. 4 is your shadow sometimes moves on its own, even while you're standing still. Sometimes it seems to watch others. And on a 5, your reflection is hazy and distorted, as though seen through rippling water. Sometimes it does not move in sync with you. And on a 6, holy places or symbols fill you with feelings of irritation and or disgust. So getting into the actual first mechanical feature for this subclass is called Sanguine Spellcasting. So starting at first level, you learn additional spells when you reach certain levels in this class, as shown on the table below. So this is just the standard sort of thing you get from most sorcerer bloodlines and stuff. You get your additional spells, and going through the ones that you do get, at first level you get Hex and Detect Magic. At third level you get Shadow Blade and Flock of Familiars. At 5th level you get Vampiric Touch and Bestow Curse. At 7th level, you get Blight and Dimension Door, and at 9th level, you get Negative Energy Flood and Steel Wind Strike. So you'll kind of see the theme throughout this entire subclass. You're going to be a little bit of a hybrid martial, that sort of thing. You're going to be a lot more up close and personal than a lot more, casters and everything. But the spell list is kind of built around debuffing enemies and, kind of keeping up with that sinister, dark sort of vibe that you have as a Vesper Sorcerer. So getting into the next feature is called Moonchild. So starting at 1st level, the blood of your Vesper Dragon is forever change you physically, mentally, and magically. You gain the following benefits. You gain a bite attack as a natural weapon. Your bite attack is considered a finesse weapon, and you can use charisma instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls, with a damage dice of 1d6. At 6th level, this counts as a magical weapon and becomes 1d8 and 1d10 at 14th level. You can decide whether the bite attack will deal piercing or necrotic damage before you make the attack roll. And the next benefit you get is you gain dark vision out to 60 feet. If you already have dark vision, it increases by 60 feet. The next feature is when you score a critical hit or reduce a creature to 0 hit points with an attack or sorcerer spell, you can use your reaction to gain temporary hit points equal to half your sorcerer level plus your charisma modifier. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. And then the last feature you get from Moonchild is you can speak, read, and write Draconic. So this is just kind of the blending of the themes of this subclass, in that you are vampire and dragon inspired, but you're neither almost. Actually, you're kind of a little bit of both, but you're vampire adjacent and dragon adjacent. So you don't have the exact full benefits of either, but you don't have the full weaknesses either. It's not like you're burning up in the sun. But yeah, like I said, before I get ahead of myself, this is just stuff that I made to complement and add a base to this subclass and stuff with you having a bite attack with your vampire stuff. And you can kind of flavor effect the thing where you gain temporary hit points as drain the blood from nearby creatures, and having your blood rush with dark magic, maybe kind of up to you. So getting into the next feature, this is going to be kind of the main staple of this subclass. Is called Bloody Beast. So starting at 6th level, the ravaging hunger of your Vesper Dragon sometimes overtakes you in battle, causing your fangs to enlarge and your blood to rush as your vampiric instincts take over. Once per short rest, when you damage a creature with a sorcerer spell or a weapon attack, you can spend 2 sorcery points as a bonus action to enter a frenzy, your vampiric and draconic traits becoming more pronounced as a result. It ends early if you're knocked unconscious, or if your turn ends and you haven't attacked a hostile creature since your last turn or taken damage since then, so similar to like a barbarian's requirement to stay in a rage. You gain the following benefits for 1 minute. You gain blind sight out to 15 feet, your bite attack can be used as a bonus action after casting a sorcerer spell as your main action. Once per turn, when you hit a prone, grappled, or restrained creature with your bite attack, you regain hit points equal to half the damage dealt. When you make a bite attack against a creature, you don't provoke opportunity attacks from that creature for the rest of the turn, whether you hit or not. While in a frenzy, you can spend 1 sorcery point to focus on 1 target you can see within 60 feet of you. Your spell attack rolls and save DCs are increased by +1 against that target, and this effect ends if you lose sight of your target or are incapacitated. While in a frenzy, if you damage a creature with a sorcerer spell, you can spend 2 sorcery points as a bonus action to cast the invisibility spell without expending a spell slot. And you can activate Frenzy twice per short rest at 14th level. So yeah, this is pretty much the caster's version of a rage, like kind of a vampiric version of a rage. Like I said, you do have to be very active to maintain this, so that is one of the balancing features, and that also this is a once per short rest thing. So you're gonna want to be like very selective when you use this sort of thing, but it does give you a fair bit of benefits. And like I said before, you're going to be kind of like using a mixture of like guerrilla warfare almost. We'll get into that at the end of the video when I talk about different subclass or class combinations with multi-classing. But like I said, hybrid martial. So even if you don't hit with that bite attack, as long as you make that bite attack, which you can do as a bonus action after you cast a sorcerer spell as your main action. So like I said, staying actively benefits this subclass. Yeah, you make your bite attack and then you don't provoke opportunity attacks. So you could get yourself out of a bad situation just by maintaining your aggression with this. And you can kind of almost flavor effect it. Like I said, you're not a vampire or a dragon, but you have traits of both. So you can almost like really flavor effect this as you get like turning super monstrous and everything, your blood rushing as your like predatory instincts take over and stuff. It's really up to you on how you want to do this, but yeah, I thought this was a pretty cool feature. Next up is the 14th level feature called Night Terror. So starting at 14th level, your draconic and vampiric traits become even more menacing. While in a frenzy, you can sprout leathery wings as a bonus action, granting you a flying speed equal to your walking speed until your frenzy ends. While your wings are active, hostile creatures within 15 feet of you have disadvantage on saving throws against your spells. You can also use Frightful Presence as an action while your wings are active. forcing hostile creatures within 30 feet of you to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. When a failed saving throw, affected creatures are frightened of you for 1 minute, repeating the saving throw at the end of each of their turns. On a successful saving throw, affected creatures are immune to this effect for the next 24 hours. So this is just, complementary sort of things. Whenever you take a draconic or, any sort of subclass or feature that is related to a creature with wings, you're always going to want to expect to get those wings at some point. So I feel like it made sense at this point within the class. And you also have to have your frenzy active in order to activate those wings. So that's just another balancing thing of you needing to stay active. So even though you have these wings, you can't just fly 200 feet away and just pelt the enemies with fireballs and all that sort of stuff. You have to actively be maintaining a certain distance with these people to gain the full benefits. You could also kind of flavor effect it like Batman, like how he raises his cape, and that's kind of a classic vampire thing as well, just to be kind of have the moonlight behind you and you drape up your cape, but it's not a cape, it's your actual literal bat wings that are kind of exuding this magical sort of menace and stuff. It really depends on how you flavor effect it, but I thought it was a cool sort of thing for you to also get the Frightful Presence ability for this. But getting into the last capstone feature of this subclass, at 18th level you unlock Vesper Lord. So starting at 18th level, you become the epitome and example of the strength of your Vesper Dragon. You no longer age. Whenever you take necrotic damage, you instead regain hit points equal to half the damage dealt. Also, once per long rest, you can use an action to regain half your maximum sorcery points, rounded up. So this is just a thing to add for sustainability, as a lot of your abilities kind of are based upon your sorcery points, both with the main class and your subclass with different abilities within Frenzy. So this is just kind of making it so that you can kind of flavor effect, like I said, drawing in the blood from the enemy near you, or you could just kind of use, your predatory instincts bolstering your physical abilities just to allow you to keep going and stuff. But like I said, a lot of your sorcery points going to be used for this, so this is definitely going to be a good sort of thing. And then you're immortal about this point, being a vampiric adjacent sort of creature, and then you have the benefit from not taking necrotic damage and actually healing from it. So I thought this would be a good sort of feature, especially when you get to higher levels and stuff. So getting into the last section of this video on how you can actually use this subclass in your game, both mechanically and also for applying it to your backstory or the setting that you're using. So as far as the mechanics of it, the first thing I thought of when I was making this is that I also did a Dude Brew video episode of the Blood Hunter. I think this subclass would be a perfect multi-class with the Blood Hunter if you want Sorcerer and then Blood Hunter and stuff. You kind of have that Dark Warrior sort of vibe, and also with the Blood Hunter also being sort of a hybrid caster themselves the way I made it. You can kind of get this little dark magic sort of vibe. And along with that, regardless of what class you pick, I know there's player options for becoming a vampire, and this is kind of work to either work alongside that to complement your already vampire abilities you get from whatever player option you get, or if you want to have the sort of thematics and aesthetic of a vampire without actually having the downsides and the hunger of a vampire, you can pick this subclass and just have the flavor effect of it. As the actual lore for the Vesper Dragon is that they are the originators or creators of the vampiric curse. So you could really just kind of flavor affect it as far as you being a DMing for somebody with the subclass, and that they are kind of the more ancient predecessor to the vampire before it became tainted and unable to get to the sun. But as far as multi-classes, I think this definitely pairs well with a martial sort of class, like a fighter or a rogue. Honestly, I think a rogue would be a really good combination for this, considering the fact that when you make a bite attack, while you're in a frenzy, you don't provoke opportunity attacks. And I'm just now realizing off the top of my head that I think that the Berserker subclass for Barbarian might have an ability called Frenzy. So I might change that. I'm calling it Frenzy for the video, but when you look at the document, it might be called Blood Frenzy if they already have an ability called Frenzy, just because I don't want to copy stuff. But yeah, like I was saying, you don't provoke opportunity attacks when you make your bite attack while you're in a frenzy and stuff, and that pairs really well with the rogue being able to just run up, bite the person, especially if they're near an ally. You activate that sneak attack with your bite, and then you don't provoke opportunity attacks. You could run in or cast a spell, run in, bite, and then run away and stuff, or you can, like I said before, reposition just off even missing that bite attack. So a rogue works really good for this, I think, especially with the stealth sort of theme, and you being a creature of the dark, being a vampiric type. But a fighter as well does really well at making this a frontliner if you want to be like a frontlining caster, that sort of thing. I think an underrated combo might be a ranger, only because I know people really shit on Rangers a lot. It's my favorite class just because I like nature sort of characters and stuff. But I generally do think a Ranger would be a really interesting sort of character to play, especially like roleplay wise. And that kind of gets into the story stuff of how you can use the Vesper Dragon in your game. One thing that I'm thinking of is that like a lot of campaigns are obviously going to be like more good oriented and having the characters be good people. So you could flavor affect it that if you're playing as a Ranger, Ranger's all about nature. Maybe you are an escapee from a Vesper Dragon's blood horde, and you know you're avoiding society and stuff and hanging out in nature because you know the Vesper Dragon is very different allies or members of your blood horde family might be searching for you. So you kind of took refuge in nature and just got the company of animals. That's one thing that I'm thinking of. But along with that, you also gain some benefits from focusing in on targets, which kind of benefits from the favorite enemy sort of thing with rangers and stuff. You could be a vampire hunter and have the subclass as well. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily have to have a Vesper Dragon in your game in order to use this subclass. However, it kind of works better for a character perspective and from a story perspective if it is related, at least in some way, to the Vesper Dragon. Like I said, you don't necessarily have to be directly from the Blood Horde. Your family or your parents can be from the Blood Horde. Maybe you're a couple of generations removed, and then the mutation kind of activated within you generations later. You're kind of discovering your ancestry and stuff like that, and then meet the Blood Horde that used to be, you know, your grandparents or your great-grandparents were from and stuff. And maybe the Vesper Dragon wants to take back what is rightfully theirs. That's just, you know, a whole campaign idea that I just thought of off the top of my head. But yeah, no, this definitely is a hybrid sort of caster sort of thing, is that a lot of the benefits require you to be up close. And I really hope you guys enjoyed the subclass. I had a lot of fun making it. And like I said before, if it needs some balance and changes, definitely let me know in the comments. Let me know if you like it. And then if you use it, please let me know how it works. I'm always really kind of keen to hear like feedback and stuff like that on the stuff I make. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.